All right, and as discussed, it has been a big week for Bitcoin. On Monday, the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs held the first ever congressional hearing on Bitcoin. And later in the day, the currency's value reached an all-time high of more than $900. But many people are still very confused by the digital currency. So for more on the often baffling Bitcoin, we're joined by Nic Meliones, CEO and co-founder of BitWall. Nic, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So Nic, let's begin with the basics. What exactly is a Bitcoin?
So the way that we look at it is as a financial instrument. It's an amazing technology. And so there's a couple different ways that people can engage with that. One of them being as a means of investment. That's one thing that you've seen quite a bit now. A lot of people are speculating on how Bitcoin can increase in price. For us with BitWall, we use Bitcoin as a technology to facilitate an efficient transaction. We do it with Bitcoin micropayments. Particularly for a lot of small dollar values, it's very tough with a modern financial product to enable those type of transactions. But Bitcoin, because of the way it's built, enables us to transact in that manner very efficiently.
Right, well, Nic, the US dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the US government, who is ultimately backing the Bitcoin. If I want to go in and cash in my Bitcoins for real money, can I actually do that?
That's a phenomenal question. So essentially the way it works is there needs to be a demand that's met. If you want to sell that asset, and using the term asset to describe Bitcoin, there needs to be someone who wants to be the buyer. So essentially, who's backing it? It is a pure supply and demand approach that's happening in terms of how you can exchange that good. If nobody wants it, then you can't do anything with it.
But Nic, I've done the mining process, the Bitcoin mining process. I've retracted some Bitcoins. They've appreciated in value. I've got $20,000 worth of Bitcoins. Now I want that money in cash so I can use it for something in the real world that doesn't accept virtual currency. How do I get that money in cash?
Oh, so absolutely. There's several Bitcoin exchanges, both globally, also US-based exchanges as well. And so essentially, these are market-based platforms where you put in your order, how you want to be able to sell that Bitcoin, and then as long as there is someone who is on the other end who matches that desire for your Bitcoin, they can then exchange that with you in an efficient way for you to then convert that from Bitcoin into actual cash.
Now, one of the issues that we've seen with Bitcoins having no official backing per se is that if they're stolen, there's no real resolution. Recently, millions of dollars, in fact, disappeared from a virtual exchange. The Chinese Bitcoin exchange, Global Bond Limited, disappeared, and with it as much as $5 million. Now, if you're a victim of a cybercrime or fraud, that money would be covered by your bank. But who do you go to if someone steals your Bitcoins or if an entire exchange disappears?
So phenomenal question. That's one of the big areas of the ecosystem where people need to be able to address that. One thing and one reason why modern banking technology and this financial infrastructure, why it works well, is that consumers are protected. There's different infrastructure built in there where if there's an issue with a wire transfer or a deposit or your credit card payment, there's different safeguards to protect the consumer, protecting merchants as well. And so within Bitcoin, there's going to be, as people are transacting in it, there will be this growing need to have an institutional way, whether it be some kind of standard process, to actually address that. It's a great question, though, because it's certainly an area where when you've got this financial instrument that has value, it is a huge need to be able to solve that.
Well, Nic, before we get into the U.S. Senate hearing, I want to focus a little bit on China. And China now makes up more than 50% of the world's daily Bitcoin turnover. That's according to the data site Bitcoinity. Why are Bitcoins so appealing to the Chinese market in particular?
Well, so China has shown an amazing appetite for the currency. One, as a means of investment. So you look at the real estate market, Bitcoin is an approximation of that as strictly as this investment vehicle, a way for them to put money into it and then look for it to appreciate in value. The second part of it, which is interesting for China, is that for years now, China has shown an earlier affinity for digital currencies, dating back to Tencent with their QQ product, going back to their Qcoin. As I'm sure you know quite a bit about, the Chinese ecosystem had started supporting this digital currency. And so they're more familiar with that type of product and understand how you can transact in it. And so that earlier knowledge has led to almost a quicker onboarding of consumers to how you engage in this type of product.
All right, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much, Nic. Nic Meliones, CEO and co-founder of BitWall.